Oh my God, I've got to keep everybody away because if they start talking when she's out there using her platform, be proud of who you are, work hard.
The British royal family has rarely seen a storm like this, and at the center of it stands Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, a man whose fall from grace has become the focus of intense scrutiny. Once a prince with titles, privileges, and public respect, Andrew now finds himself stripped of everything, yet armed with knowledge that could shake the foundations of the monarchy itself. The story begins with a dramatic moment. Andrew was stripped of his titles and removed from royal duties after a series of scandals that had long been brewing. Scandals connected to powerful figures, social elites, and controversial networks. The timing of this removal was not only significant, but calculated, signaling to the world that the monarchy was taking decisive action to protect its reputation. However, what many may not realize is that Andrew's fall did not silence him. Instead, it positioned him in a place of leverage, a point from which he could reveal truths that had long been buried and carefully hidden from public view. One of the most explosive elements in this unfolding story is the alleged connection between Andrew and Meghan Markle, the Duchess of Sussex. Sources claim that Andrew was aware of Meghan's presence in elite social circles years before she even met Prince Harry. These were not ordinary circles. They were gatherings of wealth, power, and influence, places where the global elite mingled in privacy, away from the public eye. Yacht parties, luxury gatherings, exclusive networking events, all of these provided spaces where individuals like Andrew and Meghan could cross paths, creating overlaps that few outside their world would ever notice. What makes this story so intriguing is not just that these overlaps existed, but that Andrew allegedly holds first-hand knowledge of them, knowledge that could reveal aspects of Meghan's life the public has never seen. The palace, meanwhile, has been quietly aware of the potential for exposure. Behind the doors of Buckingham Palace, King Charles, Queen Consort Catherine, and other senior members of the family have reportedly been engaging in careful, calculated planning to manage what Andrew could reveal. Every phone call, every small concession, every private meeting is said to have been designed to minimize damage, to control the flow of information, and to anticipate the consequences of Andrew speaking openly. This tension has created an environment of fear and uncertainty inside the royal household. The palace is acutely aware that if Andrew confirms what he knows about Meghan, her pre-royal life, and the elite networks she navigated, it could rewrite the public's understanding of how she entered the royal family. It is not only the potential exposure of a future duchess's private life that is at stake, but also the perception of the monarchy's oversight, its control over introductions, and its ability to manage high-profile relationships. Sources suggest that Meghan's early social movements were strategic, calculated, and influenced by elite connections, some of which overlapped directly with Andrew's world. These connections were not speculative, they were well documented, and Andrew is reportedly in possession of photographs, communications, and first-hand accounts that illustrate the depth of these intersections. The palace's attempts to suppress information, quash rumors, and control narratives were, according to insiders, not merely defensive, but strategic. Each step, from controlling press releases to preventing the circulation of sensitive photographs, was aimed at maintaining a curated image of Meghan while protecting the reputation of the royal institution. And yet, Andrew, now stripped of his titles, has little to lose. Sources claim that he is preparing to release his own accounts, materials, and images, not as a form of revenge, but as a demonstration of truths that the monarchy has long tried to contain. The implications of this potential disclosure are staggering. If Andrew confirms Meghan's movements in these elite circles, the gatherings she attended, the connections she built, and the overlaps with his own social world, it could trigger intense public interest, media speculation, and unprecedented scrutiny of the royal family's inner workings. The stakes are higher than ever. Public trust, long-standing protocols, and the curated narratives of Meghan's rise could all come into question. The palace's silence, The rapid suppression of sensitive information and the careful framing of Meghan's public story now appear as attempts to contain knowledge Andrew could confirm at any time. Every detail matters, from the events she attended to the timing of her relationship with Prince Harry and the palace's awareness of her social circles. Sources indicate that the very first leak about Harry and Meghan's relationship, which occurred in October 2016, may have come from Andrew's household. The motivation behind this early exposure remains unclear, but insiders suggest it was a deliberate act designed to control how the romance entered the public eye. This timing raises questions about whether Andrew's knowledge of Meghan's past was influencing palace decisions, shaping narratives, and creating a controlled environment in which the royal family could manage both perception and scandal. The drama extends beyond Andrew and Meghan. King Charles is reportedly navigating a delicate balance between containing Andrew's disclosures and maintaining the authority of the crown. Queen Consort Catherine is said to favor strict boundaries, insisting that sensitive information about Meghan's past must not leak, fearing the public backlash that could ensue. Prince William reportedly stands in the middle, weighing the strategic advantages of dialogue with Andrew against the risks of further exposure. The palace's internal conflict illustrates the unprecedented nature of this situation. A disgraced prince now holds leverage over a future duchess, and his knowledge could destabilize relationships, media narratives, and the monarchy's carefully curated image. The unfolding revelations are unprecedented, both in their content and in the potential consequences. The next chapter of this story delves into Meghan Markle's alleged hidden life before she became a member of the royal family. According to insiders, Meghan navigated elite social networks and exclusive gatherings that provided her with visibility, influence, and access to powerful figures. Yacht parties, private dinners, and elite networking events became spaces where she could cultivate relationships that later intersected with Prince Harry's world. These were not casual or coincidental encounters. They were environments of concentrated power, where visibility and reputation mattered immensely. Sources claim that Andrew was aware of Meghan's presence in these circles, and may have personally witnessed her interactions, positioning, and strategic networking. The palace, aware of these overlaps, reportedly took steps to monitor and manage the narrative, ensuring that sensitive connections remained private while shaping Meghan's public image. Photographs, emails, and eyewitness accounts are said to exist, documenting these intersections, and Andrew is believed to hold many of them. The question that has fascinated insiders is why these connections were carefully managed. The timing of Meghan's introduction to Prince Harry, the framing of her public story, and the rapid control of images and reports suggest a deliberate orchestration aimed at maintaining a specific perception of her character. The strategic suppression of information surrounding her early life raises difficult questions about transparency and accountability within the monarchy. Was Meghan's rise entirely organic, or was it influenced by carefully cultivated networks that intersected with Andrew's social world? These are the questions that Andrew's potential disclosures threaten to answer. The palace's response has been described as a mix of panic and calculation. Emergency meetings, controlled access, and carefully timed communications are all reported measures designed to prevent Andrew from releasing sensitive information prematurely. Each decision, each concession, and each private discussion has been aimed at mitigating the impact of his knowledge. The implications are not just personal, but institutional. Public trust in the monarchy depends on the perception of integrity, oversight, and fairness. Any revelation that Meghan's ascent involved previously hidden elite networks could alter the narrative, challenging assumptions about how members of the royal family are vetted, introduced, and integrated. Insider accounts suggest that Andrew's potential revelations extend beyond Meghan herself. They could touch on the broader networks of influence, the role of elite social spaces, and the intersections between wealth, power, and the monarchy. These revelations could raise questions about past oversight, ethical considerations, and the mechanisms by which sensitive information was monitored and controlled. The story also highlights the complexity of relationships within the royal family. King Charles is reportedly walking a careful line, engaging Andrew privately while attempting to manage risk. Catherine advocates strict boundaries and protective measures, aiming to prevent potentially damaging disclosures. William stands in the middle, balancing the need for caution with the strategic value of understanding what Andrew knows. This delicate internal negotiation illustrates the high stakes involved, as the royal family seeks to control what could be unprecedented exposure. Sources further indicate that Meghan has remained deliberately silent. Despite Andrew's fall, the public release of sensitive files, and the increasing scrutiny of elite networks, she has not commented publicly. Insiders suggest this silence is a calculated strategy, a recognition that speaking out prematurely could escalate the situation and shift attention away from managing public perception. Meghan's careful navigation of these networks, coupled with Andrew's leverage, sets the stage for a dramatic unfolding of events. The palace has reportedly been using every tool at its disposal, from restricting access to sensitive files, to controlling communications, and strategically managing public narratives. These efforts highlight the unprecedented nature of the situation. A former prince, stripped of titles, but armed with knowledge, now has the potential to expose previously hidden truths. The story raises larger questions about power, influence, and reputation. How does someone like Andrew, once a trusted royal, navigate the transition from public privilege to private leverage? How does the palace balance containment with transparency, ensuring that public trust is maintained while internal crises are managed? These questions are at the heart of the unfolding drama. The timeline of events further intensifies the intrigue. From the early exposure of Harry and Meghan's relationship in 2016 to Andrew's stripping of titles in 2025, every action appears connected in a complex web of influence, awareness, and strategic decision-making. The palace's attempts to suppress sensitive photographs and control narratives have been consistent. Yet Andrew's potential disclosures could render these measures ineffective. The presence of documents, photographs, and first-hand accounts suggests that Andrew has irrefutable evidence of Meghan's pre-royal life and her strategic navigation of elite circles. This evidence, if revealed, could shift public understanding, challenge long-held narratives, and create a new context for evaluating both Meghan's rise and Andrew's knowledge. Public curiosity is already intense. Every report, every leaked file, and every insider claim fuels speculation and debate. The palace, aware of the stakes, reportedly continues to manage access and communication to prevent a sudden surge of uncontrolled revelations. The potential fallout is multi-layered. Personal reputations, institutional integrity, and historical narratives are all at risk of being reinterpreted. Andrew's leverage represents a rare and dangerous convergence of personal knowledge and public consequence. Experts suggest that if Andrew speaks openly, it could redefine public perception of Meghan, her social connections, and the monarchy's handling of sensitive relationships. This unfolding drama is unprecedented in scale, complexity, and potential impact. The public, media, and royal observers are all watching closely, awaiting the release of information that could reshape narratives, challenge assumptions, and reveal hidden dimensions of elite social networks. Every conversation behind palace walls, every strategic decision, and every suppressed document contributes to a tension that could erupt into public revelation at any moment. The final part of this story focuses on Andrew's potential impact, the palace's preparation, and the unprecedented consequences of disclosure. Stripped of titles, privileges, and public favor, Andrew's position is paradoxical. While he has lost everything formally, He now wields something far more powerful: knowledge. Sources indicate that he possesses detailed information about Meghan Markle's pre-royal life, including her movement through elite social spaces, her connections, and the overlaps with Andrew's own networks. These are environments where visibility, influence, and relationships were tightly controlled, and where public perception was carefully curated. If revealed, this knowledge could dramatically alter the understanding of how Meghan's life intersected with the royal family prior to her marriage to Prince Harry. Buckingham Palace is reportedly navigating this unprecedented situation with intense caution. King Charles is said to be engaging Andrew privately, softening restrictions, and restoring limited privileges to maintain influence and manage potential disclosures. Catherine is reportedly advocating strict protective measures, ensuring that sensitive information does not leak prematurely. William, caught between these strategies, balances caution with the value of understanding the full scope of Andrew's knowledge. The palace's internal management underscores the high stakes at play. Andrew's disclosures, if public, could affect not only personal reputations, but also institutional credibility. The royal family's ability to manage sensitive introductions, vetting processes, and elite social interactions could be called into question. Insiders suggest that Meghan's careful silence is a strategic acknowledgement of the leverage Andrew holds. Her public reticence may be aimed at controlling attention, preventing escalation, and preserving the narrative, while minimizing potential fallout. The dynamics of this situation are unprecedented. A former prince, publicly disgraced, now possesses the power to redefine historical perceptions of a future duchess and the monarchy's handling of sensitive social networks. Media coverage has already amplified speculation. Every photograph, document, and insider report fuels public curiosity, while palace attempts at containment highlight the high level of concern. Analysts warn that if Andrew speaks openly, the consequences could ripple across multiple dimensions: public trust, historical interpretation, family relationships, and media narratives. The interplay of strategy, secrecy, and revelation creates a tense environment where every move matters. According to insiders, they could include first-hand confirmations of Meghan's presence at elite events, the influence of these networks on her ascent, and the ways in which the palace sought to manage information. These revelations could challenge the curated image of the royal family, offering new insight into the intersections of wealth, power, and influence. The consequences for Prince Harry and the Sussexes are also significant. Andrew's knowledge could shed light on the networks that influenced Meghan's trajectory, how relationships were introduced, and the timing of key events. The potential for reinterpretation of past actions, relationships, and decisions is enormous. Moreover, the story underscores larger questions about the monarchy's capacity for oversight and control. If Andrew confirms previously suppressed information, it could lead to a reassessment of the institution's approach to managing sensitive relationships and public perception. For the public, this represents a dramatic, almost unprecedented peek behind the royal curtain. The unfolding scenario blends personal scandal, institutional strategy, and societal fascination, creating a narrative that is as compelling as it is explosive. Experts suggest that Andrew's revelations, if released strategically, could reshape historical narratives, redefine public understanding, and challenge the monarchy in ways not seen before. The palace's response, measured, careful, and strategic, reflects the gravity of the situation. Every action, from restoring limited privileges to managing access to sensitive materials, is designed to minimize potential damage while maintaining influence over the unfolding story. The tension between Andrew's knowledge, Meghan's silence, and the palace's cautious management represents a delicate balance of power, leverage, and secrecy. It is a high-stakes scenario where every decision could have lasting consequences. As this story continues to unfold, one question dominates the public imagination. What exactly does Andrew know, and how much of it will he reveal? Will Meghan's pre-royal life, her strategic social navigation, and her elite connections finally be exposed to the world? And how will the monarchy manage the potential fallout of such unprecedented revelations? For viewers, these questions create a dramatic, suspenseful narrative that continues to captivate attention, blending real-world consequences with a story that seems almost cinematic in its tension, intrigue, and stakes. The unfolding drama of Andrew, Meghan, and the palace serves as a reminder that even institutions as historic and controlled as the British monarchy are not immune to the complexities of personal leverage, strategic knowledge, and the power of revelation. In the coming months, as Andrew potentially chooses to speak, the world may witness a reshaping of history, a reconsideration of long-held narratives, and a deeper understanding of the intersections of power, influence, and secrecy within one of the world's most famous families. For the palace, the stakes could not be higher. For the public, the story promises drama, revelations, and questions that may never have straightforward answers. And for Andrew, stripped of formal power yet armed with knowledge, the opportunity to expose, confirm, and influence the narrative represents a rare and powerful position, one that could leave a lasting impact on the royal family and public perception for years to come. As the story continues to unfold, the palace finds itself in a state of quiet but intense panic. Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, once a figure of royal privilege, has transformed into a source of immense uncertainty for the monarchy. With his titles stripped and public reputation damaged, he now holds the power of knowledge. Knowledge that, if revealed, could fundamentally reshape the public's understanding of Meghan Markle, her life before Prince Harry, and the way the royal family manages sensitive relationships. Behind closed doors at Buckingham Palace, King Charles is reportedly taking unprecedented steps to manage the situation. Sources claim that he is maintaining private contact with Andrew, softening certain restrictions, and even restoring limited privileges in an effort to maintain influence and prevent unrestrained disclosure. Every call, every small concession, and every meeting is a calculated move designed to navigate the delicate balance between protecting the monarchy and acknowledging the facts Andrew holds. At the same time, Queen Consort Catherine is said to be advocating for strict boundaries. Her priority, insiders suggest, is containment, ensuring that sensitive details about Meghan's pre-royal life and overlapping elite networks remain confidential until the palace can fully assess the potential fallout. The contrast between Charles' strategy and Catherine's approach illustrates the complexity of this unprecedented situation. Prince William reportedly stands in the middle, attempting to balance caution with the need to understand the full scope of Andrew's knowledge. Sources describe a tense atmosphere where every decision is scrutinized, every word measured, and every potential leak treated as a critical risk. The palace is acutely aware that Andrew's leverage is not theoretical. He reportedly possesses photographs, first-hand accounts, emails, and detailed observations of Meghan's early movements through elite social networks. Yacht gatherings, private events, high-profile parties, and gatherings of influential individuals, all these intersections have reportedly been documented in ways that Andrew could verify. The palace's efforts to suppress information, control narratives, and manage press coverage over the years now appear as calculated attempts to contain knowledge that could soon be made public. What makes this situation even more remarkable is Meghan Markle's silence. Despite intense public scrutiny, the release of files connected to Jeffrey Epstein, and the growing awareness of Andrew's potential revelations, Meghan has reportedly chosen to remain quiet. Sources suggest this is a strategic decision, recognizing that any premature comment could escalate the situation, redirect public attention, or create a platform for Andrew to assert his narrative. Meghan's public silence is therefore a form of strategic management, a recognition of the leverage that Andrew now holds. At the same time, Andrew is reportedly preparing to release information selectively, not through intermediaries, but through materials that could include photographs, messages, and first-hand confirmations of Meghan's movements within elite circles. According to insiders, this is not meant as revenge. Rather, it is a demonstration of truths that the palace has long tried to contain, a way of asserting control over information that was previously managed exclusively by the royal institution. The potential implications are enormous. If Andrew confirms that Meghan participated in elite gatherings, engaged in networking events alongside influential individuals, or cultivated relationships that overlapped with his own world, it could radically alter public perception of her path to royalty. It could also raise difficult questions about the monarchy's oversight, the process by which members of the family are introduced, and the strategic management of information. Alright, media outlets are reportedly preparing for a surge in attention should Andrew choose to go public. Analysts suggest that even small confirmations could dominate headlines for weeks, driving social media discussion, public debate, and renewed scrutiny of the royal family's internal dynamics. The palace's attempts to quash leaks in the past, controlling images, managing press releases, and limiting access to sensitive documents, highlight just how serious the situation has become. Every detail matters, from the timing of Meghan's introduction to Prince Harry to the early leaks about their relationship in 2016. The palace has carefully monitored the narrative. Sources indicate that Andrew's knowledge extends not only to Meghan's presence at events, but also to the connections she cultivated, the strategic decisions she made, and the ways in which her early life intersected with elite networks that Andrew himself navigated. These revelations, if made public, could have far-reaching consequences. The monarchy may face renewed scrutiny regarding its vetting processes, internal oversight, and the ways it manages the flow of sensitive information. For the public, this represents an unprecedented glimpse into the interactions between privilege, power, and personal relationships within one of the world's most famous families. Within royal circles, tension is reportedly high. Meetings are being held behind closed doors to assess the potential fallout, strategize timing, and determine the appropriate response if Andrew speaks. Sources suggest that the family is weighing every option carefully, understanding that once information is released, control over the narrative may be lost entirely. Analysts note that this represents a rare convergence of personal knowledge, public interest, and institutional vulnerability. Andrew's situation highlights the delicate balance between private scandal and public consequence. His ability to confirm details about Meghan's early life, her strategic social movements, and the ways in which her world intersected with his own, places the palace in an unprecedented position. There is also a significant element of timing, the release of Jeffrey Epstein-related files, the ongoing interest in elite networks, and the public's fascination with the royal family all contribute to the intensity of this moment. Every decision Andrew makes, every step the palace takes, and every word that emerges into the media has amplified significance. Sources further indicate that Andrew's potential disclosures could clarify long-standing mysteries about Meghan's early social positioning, her strategic networking, and the ways in which elite circles may have influenced her trajectory toward the royal family. This includes potential confirmations of her presence at high-profile events, interactions with influential individuals, and careful management of visibility prior to her public life with Prince Harry. Public curiosity has reached extraordinary levels. Social media platforms are abuzz with speculation, while commentators, analysts, and royal watchers dissect every available detail. The potential for explosive revelations has created an environment in which the palace must act carefully, balancing public relations, institutional credibility, and family privacy. Andrew's leverage is further intensified by the fact that he no longer faces formal constraints of title or privilege. Stripped of the protections that come with being a royal, he can operate independently, sharing information selectively and with a precision that could maximize impact. Sources suggest that every piece of information, every document, and every photograph in his possession is being considered strategically, as he navigates the complex terrain of exposure and discretion. The palace is acutely aware of the stakes. King Charles reportedly considers containment a priority, seeking to manage Andrew's potential disclosures while maintaining influence over timing and framing. Catherine reportedly emphasizes protection and boundaries, ensuring sensitive information does not reach the public prematurely.